You've got a respected vascular surgeon, a beloved couple found dead in their beds, and their young children suddenly left orphaned. The double murder of Monique and Spencer Tepe was an absolutely shocking tragedy, and the prime suspect? Well, it was the one person Monique had been terrified of for years, her ex-husband. But here's the thing. As investigators started digging, the story we all thought we knew began to change, and fast. So what is this new piece of evidence buried deep in some legal documents that could totally reframe this entire case? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so it all starts with a total bombshell. For a while, what we all thought we knew about the crime scene came from those first reports. But now, a new court filing just blows that whole narrative right out of the water. And look, this isn't just some rumor or speculation. This comes straight from the legal documents themselves, revealing a detail that was hidden from all of us and really changes our entire perception of the killer's rage. So this slide really breaks down the change in what we know. At first, everyone thought Spencer was shot multiple times, and Monique just once. But this new information, it points to a much more violent, a much more frenzied attack on both of them. And that suggests a whole different level of personal rage aimed directly at Monique. And just to be super clear, this isn't a rumor. This comes from an affidavit that was filed not too long ago, which gives it real legal weight. It confirms that this is the new, disturbing fact that prosecutors are working with now. You see, this was not just some spontaneous crime of passion. All the evidence is pointing to a plan that was chillingly calculated. And the craziest part? It was all caught on a neighbor's camera weeks before the murders even happened. Let's dig into how this builds the case. Okay, so what's really crucial here is the timing and just how long he was there. The suspect didn't just, walk by the house. He was allegedly there for hours, methodically casing the home. And he picked a time when he knew they'd be gone at a big college football game. That just screams meticulous planning. Now, the court filings use a very specific legal term. They say the suspect entered the home's curtilage. So what in the world does that mean, and why is that one word so incredibly important for the prosecution's case? All right, so curtilage is basically the private space right around your house. Think of a fenced-in backyard. And legally speaking, breaking into that area is a pretty big deal. It's almost the same as breaking right into the house itself. And that is why this matters so much. Trial lawyer Troy Slayton points out that this act of stalking, entering the curtilage weeks beforehand, is some seriously powerful evidence. It shows that prior calculation and design that prosecutors need to push this from a murder charge up to aggravated murder. So we have the physical evidence of planning, right? But beyond that, we're also getting this really disturbing psychological picture. It gives us a peek into what could have been going through the alleged killer's mind during those hours he spent inside their home. Psychoanalyst Dr. Bethany Marshall breaks it down like this. The core motive here seems to be this deep, possessive obsession. It's like, in his mind, she was still his wife. She belonged to him. So every single photo, every piece of her clothing, any sign at all of her happy new life with Spencer, well, that was like a personal betrayal that just kept fueling his anger. And Dr. Marshall suggests this rage might have come out in a really, really disturbing way inside that house. This wasn't just him scoping the place out. It might have been this visceral, almost ritualistic act of trying to reclaim what he thought was his, searching for any proof of her new life. Just try to picture this scene. He's there for hours, going through their most personal things. He's not just looking, he's experiencing them. Smelling her perfume, touching her clothes, maybe even lying on their bed. The experts think he was totally immersing himself in the life she'd built without him, and at the same time just completely resenting it. And this obsession, it wasn't something new. Friends have said that he made this chilling threat directly to Monique. It's a statement that just reveals this long-term psychological torment he was putting her through. The message was clear. No matter where she went, in his mind, she would never, ever be free. So, for all this supposed planning, the suspect allegedly made some really big mistakes. These blunders, especially the ones with his SUV, basically left a breadcrumb trail for investigators to follow right to his door. The number of mistakes he apparently made with this vehicle is just staggering. You've got him circling the house over and over, all caught on camera. He's using a stolen Ohio plate, then he swaps it for a fake Arizona temp tag, and then, maybe the most damning thing of all, He tries to change how the SUV looks after the murders by scraping off a sticker. You know, this kind of behavior isn't a one-off. It actually fits a pattern we've seen in other really big cases. The cars circling the victim's home over and over again, that is classic stalker behavior. It's this common thread that connects these cases and really shows a clear predatory mindset. Okay, so you've got the stalking, the psychological obsession, this trail of evidence. How does all of that add up in a courtroom? Well, what it does is build a step-by-step case for the most serious charge you can get. And that key charge is aggravated murder. Now, under Ohio law, to make that stick, the prosecution has to prove one key thing: prior calculation and design. They have to show this wasn't on a whim, it was planned out. So this slide really lays out the prosecution's whole argument, step by step. First, you have the stalking, which proves the prior calculation. Then you have the burglary, a separate felony, happening at the same time. And here's the kicker: when a murder happens while another felony is being committed, the charge gets bumped up. And as trial lawyer Troy Slayton confirms, it's that combination of crimes that makes the case so strong legally. The fact that a burglary happened at the same time as the murder is what gives prosecutors the green light to go for that aggravated murder charge, which, as you can imagine, carries way heavier penalties. And really, the stakes here could not possibly be any higher. Proving that prior calculation takes this from a regular murder charge and puts it in a whole different league. We're talking life in prison without parole or even the death penalty. That's the difference between having some chance of getting out one day and absolutely none at all. And all of this brings us to one final haunting question. How could a man who was supposed to be brilliant, a highly educated surgeon who was good at everything he did, allegedly plan a murder with so much calculation, but then leave behind a trail of evidence that was a mile wide? So what was it? Was it just pure arrogance? Or was his obsessive rage just so powerful that it completely took over and he couldn't control it? That's the paradox that sits right at the very heart of this tragedy.